for either one of these dudes, but yeah, it is a much nicer path if you do win here, and both of them are going to be looking at the other one as very, very doable, but there's a lot of mutual respect here. But getting on into it, Tropical Sacrifice to start us off, spawning here in the bottom left, representing Team Big, it is ShoWTimE.
In the top right is the blue Terran. We have Mao's HeroMarine.
Both have very tidy setups, tidy rooms, tidy play style, good lighting, hashtag not Zerg players.
But that's true, actually. That's funny. The Zerg players are usually the ones that are in the dark, very much.
Every time.
I don't know.
Every time.
I guess the race isn't really in the dark. I mean, they're just kind of gross, you know? Creeps spread
like,
everywhere.
When I think of, you know, when you're picking your race and you're like, okay, what's the best for me? And it's like, does it have to be like my music taste, or like how you know, you start thinking about all this stuff, but it's like a lot of the players that play Zerg really like having these super dark rooms. I just thought about this matchup as well. Like, HeroMarine was super damn good at this matchup when it was a lot of fast expansion stuff, but since it's been the double gas stuff, even though I feel that he will adapt and he'll always get so much TVP practice, especially with how much he ladders and stuff and how many progresses are on the ladder, it is definitely a different style now, like a totally different vibe. And
yeah,
I am genuinely curious about what he's bringing here, because I did see some of his TVPs recently. I know that MaxPax has been giving him a lot of trouble in these GSL or these ESL weeklies. GSL weeklies.
They are the equivalent of GSL, so.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Like, the importance, maybe even more so.
Probably. I for one don't care who makes, you know, GSL 5th victory or whatever. You know, I care if HeroMarine got his 50th victory in the Open Cups, which I'm not sure if he did or not. I didn't actually check.
I think he's been on it for like a few weeks now, and he's been toppled like the last 3 weeks in a row, but he's got to the finals each time. But yeah, this repel will come over. We'll get to find that, yeah, he's up against a very, very standard Protoss build thus far, and behind it, getting the Hellion on the go. In fact, what is that coming across the map? Okay, a second Reaper, so definitely wants to deal a little bit of damage. Using the Nexus here to do a little bit of juking around this Adept was nice.
It was indeed. ShoWTimE has really preferred the Stargate openers. I had a little conversation with Roddy when we were casting, and he was like, oh, I feel like Protoss kind of as a whole are leaning more towards Stargate. And I was like, I can't tell, because I feel like I focus in on whatever ShoWTimE's doing specifically, and ShoWTimE loves it, you know? So maybe it is a Protoss-wide thing, but I definitely know ShoWTimE has loved the Stargate openers. So we don't see as many Twilight Council, right? Like immediately in Twilight Council. ShoWTimE will do multiple Oracle openers or sometimes one Oracle into Twilight Council, but yeah, definitely preferring that. So HeroMarine should be expecting that. To your point about HeroMarine kind of mixing things up, definitely having to kind of go with the flow of the meta of the matchup. Yeah, he definitely has even been kind of embracing it. I do know yesterday in the Open Cup, I didn't get the cast, but I, of course, watched some Roddy stream. He did go for even like a Euthermal build. That was on Waterfall, and that was vetoed by ShoWTimE. She doesn't want to deal with the super small map, I guess. But yeah, he's definitely been mixing things up. This build order is not so much like that much of a mix-up, right? Factory expand's pretty common. But even going into a follow-up Medevac, wouldn't mind. Is he going to fake? Wouldn't mind. You could pick it up. Oh, he's looking for something. Okay.
Yeah, like I've seen him against some Phoenix openers and Stargate openers, and he really hammered on, going on up to like 3 or 4 Cyclones, which I thought was really cool. Cyclone perfectly placed over there. ShoWTimE does get his scout off, which is good for him. Just an early second barracks. So far, no super committal by HeroMarine. One thing that always makes HeroMarine scary for me as a Protoss, or when I'm thinking of the Protoss players, is the fact that he knows when to push. So he'll know when to not get stim, not get combat shield, and just pull out a lot of units. And there's also all those fake shenanigans where he fakes a Raven but just goes Banshee and, you know, all that kind of stuff. It's very difficult to go against. Oh, ShoWTimE didn't go for that. Oh, he did spot the Widowmine there. Nice play by him.
Yeah, that was really quite impressive. I thought for sure he was going to get bopped. What's really important, though, is that the Oracles are... Oh, they're going to get tanked? No. No, 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 no. I wonder if he thought maybe a splash would help, but he didn't go for it. Gosh, what was I going to say? Oh, I was going to say the oracles. Important that they stay alive, because they actually might have been necessary for the defense back at home, depending on how this game went, right? So that's something that ShoWTimE is very mindful of a lot, actually. So I was saying he might go into even 3 oracles. Sometimes he does that against someone who is going for an early game push. But in this case, I think ShoWTimE was already prepared enough at home with his shield batteries in really nice locations for one of the earlier pushes, and HeroMarine backed away anyways. I really emphasize the early game pushes because they usually do head towards the natural. If ShoWTimE was hit on the top of his third, he'd actually be in a little bit of trouble. Shield battery's not really placed for that, but that's not what's happening in this game. HeroMarine pulls back, goes back into macro mode.
It's super solid, this game. Like, super solid. I'm looking at this probe count. It's almost 20 ahead at this point. I feel that HeroMarine's starting to get to a moment here where he just has to go. Like, because if you're a Protoss player and you're this far ahead economically, he's also going for charge first. He's going into Phoenix to maybe help a little bit. Like, this is a nice grab for HeroMarine. Is he going to get both? Okay, does get just one, but yeah, ShoWTimE's getting ready for a push, and I think that's because he knows everything besides that moment just there has gone really well for him.
ShoWTimE's getting ready for a push?
Yeah, well, he's getting ready for a push from his opponent.
Oh, okay, yeah.
ShoWTimE wants to sit at home for sure with his position.
Okay. Yes, yeah, exactly, for sure. Yes. And it wouldn't even surprise me if HeroMarine had decided to make this like an SEV pool, but not yet anyways. He does just move forward. Observer's been tailing him from about the halfway point. Stasis Trap is going to buy actually a decent amount of time. Those are... especially that one tank is very important, but even the Cyclone is super useful. Taken out of the equation. ShoWTimE even going to try and get ahead of this. Hoping to find HeroMarine unsuspecting, but decides not to engage with the tank sieged.
I am so happy he did not go there without charge. Charge is now done. Now he can go, and HeroMarine caught a little bit off guard here. Nice pickups with the Phoenix. The charge bot's dealing good damage, but HeroMarine, there is a lot of them. Oh, these poor Zealots running from the wrong angle.
Yeah. So those were, I think, actually supposed to be a bit of a back attack, because not at that time, you know? So maybe in a bit of an F2. So the things are still a bit sketch, despite everything seemingly going well for ShoWTimE as far as the scouting and the setup and even those stasis traps. He chooses the wrong time, the wrong engagement to actually push forward. He's once again going to have to resituate. He's burned his overcharge. The Colossus pops, however, so maybe this is still doable. Phoenix go for the drag, which is pretty effective. And I think with the Colossus, it is going to be enough, especially with the tank taking out. The Immortal even lived throughout this. No Blink and all the Phoenix did sacrifice themselves. The medevacs were able to get out of dodge, but that was, at the end, a hold.
Yeah, but I was sweating for ShoWTimE a little bit, right? There was a few moments there where it was like, okay, don't go, okay, do go. But now he's got himself a nice little bank available. Getting out the Colossus, that number's keeping on growing, and that third base only just starts now, not even on location here. You can definitely feel that HeroMarine doesn't like this game and where he's at, and yeah, the Phoenix in the right location gets to spot the drop before it happens as well. ShoWTimE's looking very clean this game.
Right, I was with you, man. I was kind of scared that he had done the thing I had talked about during the desk, where it looks like he's playing this almost perfect game, and then just at the wrong moment, kind of falters, but he picks it up, carries on, and really should not be threatened by the drop so much. I mean, the 2 Phoenix, soon to be 3 Phoenix, they won't necessarily stop a big drop, but just even the 2 seconds advance warning is a huge thing here. In ShoWTimE, I mean, just perfect the army, right? I'm actually a little surprised he is still getting so many Phoenix, but I guess he still feels like HeroMarine is going to try and pull this maneuver instead of working on Blink, because we do eventually kind of want to roll into Blink and not just stay on Blinkless only Phoenix defense. But for now, it works.
It's a super gas-heavy army that he's going for, even getting the Templar Archives now, and he's ignoring the Forges as well. Like, I'm not sure if he even has... He doesn't have a Forge at all on the field. So this feels like he is just in the mode of, okay, my opponent, his third base, super damn delayed. Holy crap, I just saw that HeroMarine's also producing 4 Vikings at once at this stage. I mean, it is obviously a bit of a weird game, but yeah, ShoWTimE knows that HeroMarine is kind of all in, so not going for that power play with the upgrades and stuff. He's just getting out as many units as possible.
Right, and of course, as it continues to go on, we can say that ShoWTimE is kind of himself getting a little more all in, right? Like if this were to fail, which, I mean, it shouldn't, but if it does, then he will be upgradeless against a Terran player who is 3-base saturated, working on the Viking count, and will eventually be able to add on Ghost. Not now, of course. But it all depends on if HeroMarine can actually hold, which the army supply and the upgrade situation says it's certainly possible, but we'll see how the Colossus really impacts this, right? 5 Vikings is not a lot, especially with the Phoenix actually holding on. Just went for Phoenix Colossus, really. Added in whatever he could on the ground, kind of stirred it all up, and HeroMarine has to be very threatened by this. Backing into his natural means his third might be forfeit, but it might also be his only choice trying to get this around with the SCVs. Now he's going to have to worry about force fields as well. Maybe not. Actually, just kidding. Only 1 Guardian Shield available, so ShoWTimE just going to push on in, hope that it works out. HeroMarine taking this as patiently and calculated as possible. Now the Vikings getting some shots on the Colossus. As it looks like most of those Phoenix, still a lot of bio on the ground available. Medivac still healing as well, and ShoWTimE, I don't think he's actually maybe breaking through this. It looks like he did, but maybe not. The Marauder's still very much alive. Go after the Colossus, go after the Stalkers, and that Archon also happened to be saved by the War Prism. That is a hold, but with 18 SCVs killed as well, HeroMarine not in a good economic position.
Yeah, I feel that they're both reading each other pretty damn well, in that ShoWTimE was ready for a big push happening and ready for the low-tech game, but HeroMarine was also not teching up at all and was like, all right, I'm going to fight you. But then when ShoWTimE crossed the map like that, it was a do-or-die situation for them both. It's just HeroMarine's army has 1-1.
Those are blinkless.
He took some very good fights there, and ShoWTimE, oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, that was so
That's
close.
it, man. That's actually it. GG, HeroMarine. He's going to take that game. Again, kind of, despite the odds, it makes sense. Of course, when we watch it unfold, we just watch the win happen, so it has to make sense. But I don't know. ShoWTimE, did he have to pull the trigger there? Could he not have just bullied HeroMarine a little while longer while getting up to a better army, right? Buying all that time that it would have taken for HeroMarine to get across the map to re-engage and just been like, yeah, okay, man. Yeah, I get it. And then back away. Would that have been the better choice?
Yeah, I think you're spot on. Like, ShoWTimE got himself into a position there where he was like 150, 160 supply against significantly less. 3 bases, solidly probed up. I don't think he had any clue of how, wounded HeroMarine was from just playing as kind of all in that he was. So maybe he felt that the upgrades were just kind of spiraling out of control, but we know that Terran, once they hit 1-1, trying to get beyond that point, especially when you're on low eco, is very, very problematic. I think him getting out as many Vikings as he did, like 4 at a time, that was actually one of the real key moves for HeroMarine that game, kind of realizing, okay, if I don't get these Vikings right now, I'm going to die to a push if it does come. He definitely knew what his weakness was there, and ShoWTimE went for that weakness, which was good by him, but it was also good by HeroMarine to just completely drop everything else and say, no. Let's just make sure we don't die to this, because this is going to happen. And yeah, good call by HeroMarine.
Yeah, very astute observation from you, and of course from HeroMarine. The emphasis on the Vikings was absolutely the perfect call. I also have some comments about how the actual engagement went, but once again, we're in a game 2. Let's get the intros done. Stargazers for number 2, spawning in the top left for BIG. He is ShoWTimE.
And spawning over in the top right as the blue Terran, it is HeroMarine.
Yeah, the actual engagement was also, you got to say, kind of poor from ShoWTimE. Again, with the end being wrapped up, as it were. You saw, I think everyone could see why it was fine for ShoWTimE to be on HeroMarine side of the map, even trying to take an engagement. But I think kind of it was a bit of waffling. It was a bit of like, I'm going to kind of try, maybe, okay, let's go. Okay. And during all that time, that wasn't really the full engagement. It wasn't the Zealots wrapping around the Marauders and the Colossus getting their perfect shots and Phoenix, engaging whilst everything else was engaging. All that was happening really was that the Protoss was taking some pot shots with the Colossus range on top of Marauders that are being healed, so that they're not actually dying, right? And then the Phoenix were dying. The Phoenix actually were taken out before, let's say, like the real engagement happened. So there was that time where the Vikings could actually focus on the Colossus. And again, the Marauder count was still very healthy. Literally, it was a healthy count, and they were kind of healthy as they were able to barge down into the low ground of his position. So, yeah, I think as soon as I kind of waffled for a few more seconds, more than it should have, ShoWTimE should have gotten out, but it would have been hard for him to recognize, I guess, the dangers there in the heat of the moment.
It was kind of the dream situation for every Terran player, right? Like, how do you want an engagement to go? You want to be kiting back with all your range units, dealing damage, and the Protoss just chases you, and all those charge lots charge in single file, just getting mowed down. And yeah, those Vikings also went super uncontested. The Stalkers didn't have blink. You pointed that out earlier, that you never got that blink, so the Vikings just did their job perfectly. Even the Widow Mines as well. The Widow Mines were going off, and it's like, oh, my whole army was blobbed up chasing you. And yeah, it's just super well handled by HeroMarine. Utilizes upgrades super well as well. Here, I like how Terrans have been doing this, by the way. They've been going for that back expo first, just remaining super damn safe, and keeps the Protoss guessing of what's going to happen. They can assume that it's going to be an expo in the back, but you can never know 100%.
Yeah, I would say it's never 100%. Still decent number of TVPs where they're also taking the forward, I guess, low ground base. ShoWTimE is going into a Twilight Council and then right into a Robo. We could have some shenanigans from the Protoss, trying to take things back under his control after losing that first game, and position where he definitely could have played it out differently and to his advantage. Nah, it's going to just be blink. No Dark Shrine here today. Well, not right now anyways, maybe in the future.
Yeah, this map kind of calls for a lot of weird situations, because it's like you want to control the air in that middle spot there, but in reality it's not the biggest deal in the world. But having 4-gate blink Stalker, this can definitely allow you quite a bit of space as ShoWTimE to get whatever you want on your side of the map. Yeah, I like it. I like it a lot. And HeroMarine, what's he going to go for? Because whenever you do set up like this as a Terran, you always think like, all right, fast third base is definitely going to suit me well. But if you're up against this kind of play from ShoWTimE, is that really what you want?
Well, it'll depend on HeroMarine's knowledge of the incoming attack and then his positioning, right? Because he is getting the appropriate units for the situation, primarily tanks. But if he's doing some type of kind of early push, kind of scare what he assumes is going to be a 2-gate third Nexus Protoss, then he could be caught in the middle of the map against Stalkers already prepared to tango. Widow drop's not going to do a whole lot. And actually, by not doing a whole lot, I don't just mean the probe. It's also not doing much scouting. Well, it checked the typical third. And that is scouting. So does he figure out from here that it is that 4-gate?
This was actually really well done by HeroMarine, because that was a lot of lost mining. He got away with one of the Widow Mines, still got 2 probe kills. Oh, opening up these minerals, I'm not sure about that one. Like, this Reaper will confirm what he's against, but opening up those minerals, oh, and he stops immediately. He's like, oh, okay, that was a good scout.
Yeah. I think he was wary of this, but wasn't quite certain of it. His tank down siege is up on that natural, and also have to be wary of the high ground. Stalkers can still get up there. Although awkwardly, it's very awkward to actually get into the main with the minerals position as they are on that potential 4th base. ShoWTimE looks like he's already preparing to move on from this. Usually the 4-gate does have a little bit more time to actually try to do something, tremendous even. But now, I guess with 3 tanks situated, yeah, it's probably better that ShoWTimE just moves on, doesn't actually try and dedicate to this attack.
Yeah, ShoWTimE's not being super shameless about the attack, is he? Like, he's doing a good job of defending at home. That Liberator wasn't able to do damage in the main. He's got a few Stalkers in the natural as well. So he was good on his side of things. The one thing that I feel is escaped him a little bit is the fact that he still took economic damage against all this. And HeroMarine, he's got into a position that he wanted to be in, where he's got quite a few tanks on the field. It isn't the longest rush distance when you do open up those minerals, and I think he's going to start utilizing that really hardcore. Starts up the +1 weapons first, will probably be followed up by a stim and a combat shield. And yeah, his army is going to be very good against what ShoWTimE's currently got on the field.
Yeah, ShoWTimE's going to have to buy a little bit more time, get some better units out. And that's what he's trying to do, as well as do a little bit of damage. Just like anything you can really find for Stalkers one-shot against EVs usually opens up the opportunity for 4 or 5 more SCV kills, but HeroMarine safeguarding them quite well, just with the positioning, and that Viking helping out a lot too.
Also,
but at least ShoWTimE is keeping tabs.
Zombie Grub, I don't see a 3rd CC on the map for HeroMarine here, like, at all. But what I do see is a 4th and 5th barracks. So we know what he's up to for sure. And this really comes down to ShoWTimE trying to figure out what's going on. Does he have an observer in the map? In fact, let's have a look at ShoWTimE's vision here. He is waiting for a 3rd base to kind of go down here, but seeing those minerals, like, he's been trying to get those minerals down for quite some time. I think he's starting to figure out what's going on here.
He just might be. He hasn't really gotten into the main again to see if there's a 3rd CC like building. I think it's been a while, yeah. But now that he sees all the army move to the left side, he's gonna figure that he definitely has to defend. Are we gonna get the SCV pool? It doesn't look like it. HeroMarine has actually been pulling like only 6 SCVs with attacks like this, so I was kind of expecting at least that.
Okay, there is one Colossus on the field. He is getting charge. Charge is done now, which definitely helps him quite a lot. Oh, this Liberator. That was nice patient play. He knows where the army is now, so he knows he doesn't have to be pre-sieging or anything like that. And yeah, this drop in the main could definitely be problematic. I'm not sure if ShoWTimE knows about it. I mean, there is an observer there, but seeing and knowing is a different thing. But he's going to pounce on this army here, Zombie Grub.
And the tanks were on siege. Zealots got right on top of them, so that is exactly what a Protoss would want to do. Good recall. I believe the Colossus came with just to care of the Marines, no problem. No Stalkers, I guess, to chase down that medevac, which will be able to escape. But he's kind of already dealt with the scariest thing in this game, the 2-base attack. Like that was kind of supposed to power up into something really intimidating, and instead it's a non-issue at this point. ShoWTimE has a freedom to breathe, freedom to expand, and get back on the map with some Stalkers or Warp Prism and keep tabs on HeroMarine. I mean, HeroMarine is really going to try and play this out with 2 starports and I guess then another 2-base all-in. Yeah, all right.
I think so. I think it's all he can do. Weird. Like, this isn't the HeroMarine I'm used to seeing. Like, the HeroMarine that I'm used to seeing is the guy that he is the 3-base Terran, and he'll punish the greedy Protosses, you know? You've heard him say it on his stream many, many times. But right now, it feels like ShoWTimE's just been playing very basic, very standard, and he's been able to hold on. Like, these 2-base pushes haven't been that scary from HeroMarine. Even though I've been worried for ShoWTimE at a few points, he's done everything he had to stop it, and right now he's moving up to 4 bases. And yeah, I think he's going to be thinking, what's going on here? Why am I so comfortable?
Yeah, it's almost deceiving. Like, why I feel so safe. Is it really that done of a game? I would say, you know, it's not necessarily a game that is done, but all the signs are pointing to ShoWTimE having almost as easy of a time handling the second attack, because it's really not going to be about the Colossus once those disruptors hit a point of 3 or 4. Those are going to either buy a lot of time or do a lot of damage. All right, so we're only at 1 right now, so it's still a good time for HeroMarine to go. He might get locked out just on the choke, force fields or just 3 Colossus beaming down, right? They can't exactly go through there, so there's more time bought. And ShoWTimE should know just how desperate this is. He had observers trailing and seeing all the SCVs. There's so many options for ShoWTimE to play around here. As long as it's like one humongously foolish engagement, which he really shouldn't. There is the first disruptor getting an okay shot. Vikings being taken care of with the Stalker. Actually, blinking forward means they can't escape. The Colossus got bullied back as well. So one of them did go down. We're still talking about an overcharge, more reinforcements, another disruptor on the field. I don't know how HeroMarine's actually supposed to do this, but he is trying.
He is trying, but there's just so much Protoss at this point. The Guardian Shields are good against the units. The focus fire is pretty damn solid as well. Every time the disruptor shot goes off, it's dealing good damage. And now a second one's on the field as well. Viking count completely diminished. And HeroMarine, that is not the happiest army to be fighting with. Although, ShoWTimE's making this a bit tough with that shield battery overcharge behind the enemy lines. It's so damn good.
Yep, that was always in his back pocket, basically. He kind of left that for the last moments. And that ended up being very good. I mean, maybe a little sketchier, like 2% sketchier when the shield battery had to be popped. But there's so many other ways that could have still played out in ShoWTimE's favor. Once the first attack was bopped like it was, that was probably one of the easiest games ShoWTimE's had against HeroMarine. I'm really surprised it ended up being so easy for him.
No, yeah, it was easy for him. That's the thing. Like, it didn't look like anything went super bad for HeroMarine, but Nothing went amazing. I felt their Widowmine drops were good. They were decently done to make it so whenever the probes were pulled back, there was always one Widowmine up and one Widowmine down. So we really kind of bought time with that well. But yeah, HeroMarine's play doesn't look that confident to me. It's a lot of, all right, let's get a really late third base if we're going to get one, and really kind of try and catch you off guard. But so far, ShoWTimE doesn't seem to be getting caught off guard. He's doing what he does. He doesn't skip corners that often. He's like, you know what, let's play solid, let's scout, let's make sure that we don't die. Here he tried to do some 4-gate Blink Stalker stuff, but he was patient about it. And then HeroMarine, even though at one point he was kind of equal on workers and stuff, it was like, all right, what do I do with this? Ace all in? And it's like, I'm not sure. It feels like HeroMarine seems a little bit lost.
Well, it definitely just kind of looked like it was going through the motions, a little bit uninspired perhaps in that second game. But I think there's still a lot more left for the Terran. It's not a sign of things to come, but ShoWTimE has had a pretty damn good handle on the first, let's say, 7 minutes of both games. Just kind of didn't manage to get the ball in the hoop in the first time. Moondance will be our third game. In the top left for BIG, he is ShoWTimE.
And sporting over in the bottom right as our blue Terran, it is HeroMarine. Another interesting map here. Oh,
ahead,
you go on.
You go.
Oh, we're doing that thing, huh? Where we one of us wants to get past the other one. We keep juking and jiving, just like our players have been doing today. I like these kind of maps between Protoss and Terran, like where you have a back base and you do something a little bit weird. Maybe HeroMarine was like, I'm 1-0 up. I'll see if I can get away with this, because if you are 2-0 up with that kind of play, obviously you feel so much better. And moving on to a map like this where you can have the safe back third or back fourth, whenever you want to put it, just throw down one of the extra orbitals at some point. So yeah, I don't hate what he's been doing, but I think you're absolutely right. It hasn't looked like he hasn't looked hopeful in these games so far.
Well, I do think HeroMarine has been quite vocal about his lack of appreciation for the late game of this matchup. So I think a lot of his play, even the last couple of months even, has been trying to deter that as much as possible. He'll play it if it inevitably gets there. Like he'll still do some, I think, greedy builds, but then try and hit really sharp timings or really try to end the game with, mass amount of multitasking and drops. But, if it does get to late game, he'll play it. But I'm pretty sure he doesn't really enjoy it. So certainly he's been playing more to the factory expand and to the 2-base attacks. Perhaps not all lanes, but certainly emphasizing the attacks there. And Moondance would just, as a map, be a good idea for it. So yes, there is a safe back base on Moondance that ShoWTimE will probably end up taking. It is still our shortest map. So a lot of Terran players have some pretty brutal timing attacks to hit into this natural, because it's brutal for the rush distance. It's also brutal for the choke. So if ShoWTimE takes the back base, then he's working with his own natural choke. Can be considered safe in some regards, kind of unsafe maybe against like a tank push, right? And then even if he didn't take the back base, but he still took the other third base, the vertical one, I guess you would call it, it's still kind of weird how you place your shield batteries and where you have to expect the Terran to engage. So anyways, HeroMarine going for a lot of these 2-base attacks, last game really did not look pretty. It really did not. That was just an ugly game. HeroMarine's gonna have to forget about that one. But I think it would still, theoretically, bode well here.
Yeah, I think ShoWTimE's going to go for one of the forward bases. It's so, whenever a Protoss decides, hey, I'm not going to do that, I'm going to go for this half base, it's always very nice to Terran realizing, oh, okay, this is a different game to a normal one. My opponent's just kind of behind or has to take a ridiculously fast fourth to be even with. But we'll see, because it's kind of up to HeroMarine of what he wants to do this game. Does lose a Reaper there, kind of stuck around too long. Still going for this safe high ground expo and whatnot, and going for a Widowmine drop and yet again. Interesting, because so far these little skirmishes, I definitely like ShoWTimE's position here.
Oh, I do as well. HeroMarine went for some really aggression that was able to find just one probe, and then he high ground command centered, so he's just significantly delaying his economy. and not getting much in exchange. So you have the Widowmine drop. Changes that up. And there you have it. ShoWTimE is not going to take the back base, but rather the forward one. But as I was saying, kind of no matter what you take, there are still some complications as to defending a potential 2-base attack. But we'll kind of, I think we'll wait until we actually see what HeroMarine's plans are before we start hypothesizing about how ShoWTimE is going to defend against it. HeroMarine actually going to be following up this Widowmine drop with a Raven, first of the series, I believe. So
it is, and I like that from HeroMarine. Like, HeroMarine's a smart dude, right? Like, when it comes to TVP, I've always thought that he's very good about how to utilize things, be it a drop getting into the main or a Raven doing spells. This little Reaper comes in, deals a little bit of damage. He knew about the Blink earlier, I do believe, from that little Reaper scout in the main. And right now, having a Widowmine drop poised and ready behind the third and the natural, hey, if you're a patient Terran, you can use this at any point, maybe combined with a push later on, who knows?
So usually when the next grand opportunity presents itself for the Widowmine drop, or even with a little bit of the auto turret harassment combining as well, certainly something that HeroMarine has done. He's tried going for the 3-pronged attack, Widowmine drop, Raven in the main, and then an attack on the third base as well, which takes away the Raven from the main engagements, but might still be worth it. Well, the Widowmine drop won't be effective if it dies later on. Try to kind of swoop in, but an observer was keeping tabs on it. So it loses one of the Widowmines, loses about half the health of the medevac. Still has enough stalkers sent across the map and kind of scouts and, I guess, harass, although bunker is kind of stopping it from doing anything. But certainly scout. You know, you don't want to be following and tracking a Widowmine drop, and then they have this weird kind of push out pre-medevac that you didn't catch. So ShoWTimE is kind of literally covered all of his bases.
He has. This observer being used here just to stop the Widowmine drop is kind of funny to kind of have an observer there, but it makes sense supply-wise at least, and if you are comfortable with your position, which you absolutely should be. And so far, we do see that HeroMarine is going for a 2-basey type play again. No third CC so far. This Raven getting a little bit of damage for its trouble. In fact, got way more than the Widowmine drop did so far, but now he knows about it. And being used in conjunction with that Widowmine drop. Nice play.
It is nice, but still not resulting in too many deaths. Medevac is going to try and get out alive, and it does so. So 5 probes will be it for the combined efforts. The Raven will stay tucked into the corner. Again, not helping on the main engagement. Perhaps it wouldn't really be all that helpful anyways. You do have ShoWTimE going into Blink Charge right into Storm. So the Raven, you know, anti-armor missile definitely could still happen, but yeah, it could be feedbacked, could get a terrible anti-armor missile, and not much to interference matrix. Maybe the Warp Prism actually would be pretty good interference matrix if you could get it. So we'll see what happens with that Raven in the future. As HeroMarine does slap down the third CC, he did again prioritize, of course, the 2-base setup, 3 racks, trying to get some damage done with the first 2 medevacs. Denied thanks to the Stalker presence. And now trying to get a double-pronged attack with something else going to the middle with ShoWTimE scouts. So he should have plenty of units to defend it.
ShoWTimE was like super supply blocked out of 93 supply, which wasn't good for him. And HeroMarine's used all this time to get himself into a pretty nice position, but oh no, he didn't know about the storm. And those are some juicy connections, but they haven't killed the armor. They've just got it really low.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of a bummer. While I guess you stopped this attack from doing perhaps a little bit more. You were hoping to get some of those kills because the 2 storms, I guess, the first 2 storms were pretty juicy. The third one kind of hit like the middle, but still. Oh well. Auto turret comes back in. Good pull away from ShoWTimE. Keeps a 10-worker lead. HeroMarine, of course, now knowing about the storm, should be a little more mindful of that and should be working his way up to Ghosts as well, probably once his third C is actually settled down location. Yet again, ShoWTimE has delayed his upgrades for all of this, by the way. So kind of a common theme throughout the 3 maps so far. So the Forge only gets slapped down now.
Yeah, he's been all about that, hasn't he? And I guess so far, you're 1-1. It's got to be working at least some of the time. HeroMarine will be hitting 1-1 very shortly, and he's going for that Ghost Academy before the Armory. This is something that Clem introduced quite some time ago. And that Raven's still pinned behind the bases, but it's done well. It's done really well, like up to 8 probe kills now. ShoWTimE is dealing with it the best that he can, which right now, he's just got to greet it every time it pops down a turret. Can't really afford to get a Stargate just to counter it, at least not just yet, but HeroMarine has established a third base, and we've kind of got the first macro-y sort of game on our hands here.
Hopefully this extends to some 4v5 base, something like that. Still a little concerned. I'm concerned actually for ShoWTimE. So HeroMarine's going to have that counter pretty much to the High Templars, although with the War Prism ferrying them around, that's always a bit questionable. And ShoWTimE's, if he did want to transition, was delayed because the Robo specifically was taken out. That was one of the biggest losses of the engagement. If ShoWTimE takes care of both these armies, though, HeroMarine supply will dip quite drastically. Looks like at least there's a trade in the main base, and HeroMarine just runs away from the other attack. So, yeah, we still have ShoWTimE on unupgraded Charge, Blink, Storm. When Ghosts are making their way out, going to have the upgrade as well. And no transition in sight. Also no fourth base. So ShoWTimE, I mean, he needs something from this. As he moves out, actually, he's going to go, oh my god, no! Okay! He almost found HeroMarine trying to move out, but now HeroMarine at least knows, okay, there's an attack coming. You can kind of spread a little bit. Hopefully he can buy some time for those ghosts, because they're not actually here yet. They're about, what, 20 seconds away? If ShoWTimE hits now, it could be really good. Wait 20 seconds, could be without any storms.
This is going to be dicey. But this Protoss army, it's all about the storms. These Stalkers, remember, they're behind in upgrades. They're not going to be that good. So if HeroMarine just splits his ass off, there's a lot of medevacs here as well. Like, once all those storms are gone, but there's so many damn storms.
Yeah.
Oh my god, there's so much.
Oh my gosh. The EMP came in at pretty much the very last second. The storms already done a lot of damage. Also really nice there from ShoWTimE and how he used those storms. We still have a lot of the battle left though, so I'm not going to get into it right here, right now. The bunker actually gets mass repaired. The storm is going to take a lot of the SCV's lives. Maybe not actually, they were healed. But HeroMarine will hold. I mean, the 11 SCVs goes down. Last second anti-armor missile. But HeroMarine is going to stay alive. Only down 12 workers as well, which is not too bad. 3 base to 3 base. Oh, that could have been so much worse. Could have been so much better as well for ShoWTimE. But to emphasize the little detail, there was the time where he kind of moved in. It looked like a primo opportunity for the storms. He waited a little bit, and then he made sure to get the storms in a position where they could attack the front line bulk of Marauders and get a storm behind them. So when they inevitably tried to run away from the storm, there was really no running away. So that was kind of cool. ShoWTimE definitely tried to micro that one out to victory, but he doesn't actually beat HeroMarine right then and there. So what does that mean for ShoWTimE? Is he in trouble now? Kind of think a little bit of trouble, yeah.
I'm kind of scared for him, actually. Like, he's got himself a decent setup with, like, map vision and stuff. You can see these little red dots here, there, and everywhere, and he's getting ready to use this War Prism aggressively. But that Raven still did a lot of damage. It's back with the army now. 2-2 on the way, maybe most importantly for HeroMarine. And ShoWTimE's work account never went above 67 probes. So as soon as HeroMarine caught up in the base count, it was better for him economically. And now I'm really worried because ShoWTimE needed that attack to at least mortally wound his opponent, never mind just end it kind of thing. Because right now, yeah, I'm not liking his economic position.
If he had killed 25 SCVs, I can kind of think that like was job done as far as still having the game be even or slightly favored for ShoWTimE. But anything less than that, 3 base, 3 base, HeroMarine's still able to produce 3 at a time and, of course, drop mules. And yeah, it's a lot about what else was a part of this game. What else was part of the game? HeroMarine already had his infrastructure up. He was already working his way to 2-2. Obviously had access to Ghosts, and more would be included eventually. And, of course, had the pocket base that he could be building a 4th base. Presumably safe. Does get harassed a little bit. So HeroMarine is going to have 2-2 bio with Ghosts, and there's only how many disruptors right now? 2. And we're about to be on 4, so they are going to be now one of the main things ShoWTimE is hoping to kind of cover any of those upgrade deficits or army supply deficits. We'll see if they do that job well or not. One is already being set up, and okay, notice. So far, disruptors aren't doing it.
Yeah, it was a really nice dodge. This Raven has to be so careful, by the way, against these feedbacks, which... Oh, I mean, nice play by ShoWTimE so far. He's buying himself good time. And remember, any fight that happens away from his base, he can just run back, recharge with those batteries and whatnot. But they both have to be so careful here, Zombie Grove. Like, this comes down to, like, one really brutal fight between them, I feel.
Right, yeah. ShoWTimE can absolutely stabilize. It just was very, very dangerous. He still didn't have secondary technology, and is still down in the army supply. He still is a little bit, but also just very behind in those upgrades. Big drop into the main base as well. ShoWTimE was handling a lot of the harassment, completely caught out of position. Now forced to recall, some Archons just get obliterated on the backside. They weren't going to do very much, but the recall was good. Looks like no ghosts were actually included in the main base. Oh, there's Raptors from behind as well. Take care of the portion of the army that was left behind. That looked like an open opportunity for HeroMarine, and that's why he did it. But it kind of turned around on him.
It super turned around on him. Yeah, I thought that was going to get a lot more damage done than it did, but it felt like the low ground. Both of them were kind of like, what's going on down here? And then ShoWTimE was like, aha, I can disrupt you quite easily over here, good sir, and did just that. Now, HeroMarine is going to be on the defensive. He has got a lot... What is that ghost doing? I mean,
hello?
Hello? As, a bit overkill, but I like it. I like it. So HeroMarine's getting 3-3 on the go. I mean, this is kind of a messy game between them. Like, you can definitely tell that a lot is on the line between them here.
Yeah. Oh, there's certainly opportunity for HeroMarine to do big damage up until that Doom drop into the main. Just went sour. It just did. So now it's really leveled out. HeroMarine should be able to stabilize on his supply. So they're going to have those better upgrades with 3-3 already half done. And his fourth base already set up as well, nice and safe in the back. So we can focus completely on the engagement, already getting those kind of preemptive EMPs. Kind of a warning sign to Protoss, you really want to take the fight after your army's been EMP'd? Maybe not. And ShoWTimE, well, he definitely has the presence now. He can be the bully. He can do this. He can abuse the opponent's chokes, but actually going up the choke to take an engagement, that's going to be kind of dangerous for him to do. He's going to choose his moment to go for it. HeroMarine does have a bit of a concave now, however, so just took the disruptor shots and we'll reevaluate. So good storm as well. And, well, going to lose a couple of those disruptors. Anti-missile is still in effect, too. ShoWTimE needs to really play this carefully. It's lovely to abuse the choke, but especially once the disruptor shots out, can go south.
I like what ShoWTimE's doing, though, because his army is all about spell usage, isn't it? It's all about these high Templars and disruptors. The actual meat of it isn't that strong, but he is re-establishing... Oh my goodness, those disruptors. Nice shutdown by HeroMarine. He's getting closer behind it, but holy crap, all this AoE damage. It's brutal.
Jeez. Yeah. I mean, even with the EMPs, the High Templars are kind of coming in a trail, which actually worked beneficial for them, as they still have storms. The EMP didn't actually hit them. HeroMarine loses so much army supply, 15 SCVs as well. Force at least to lift the third CC. At the very least, it is alive, and HeroMarine is working on his fifth base. Actually, it's done. Ready to turn into a planetary, so there's still hope for survival for the Terran, but he took a beating. There's just so many spells. It didn't matter that his upgrades were a full 2-1 head of his opponent.
Yeah, it was like ShoWTimE's army was, I don't want to call it basic, but it was a lot of Stalkers and a lot of Zealots. Then it was like some juicy boys behind with the Storm and then the Disruptors. Now having these Colossus in the mix as well, and he's catching up in upgrades. He has +3 on the way. I think this attack is going to be ridiculously hard to hold off. And that scan, seeing those Colossus in the mix as well, you're like, oh, those? I've had enough trouble this game, but fighting against the PF, this PF could come in super damn useful over here.
Yeah. It's already preset concave, even surround, actually, that HeroMarine needs to get because he has no other way of dealing with these Colossus. Notice there was no observer, so he's going to go for it. He's going to pull the trigger. There's still some storms left over. Not too many disruptors, however, and the concave of Marauder is going to do wonderful against the Colossus, targeting them down as well, getting the High Templars on their retreat, and HeroMarine kind of almost easily deflected that. I mean, deceptively easy because he had all that set up. He really planned that out, but he does take the victory in that battle. Now leading 20 army supply, still has 1-1 upgrade lead, going after ShoWTimE 6th.
That was absolutely a massive victory for HeroMarine. Like, up until that point, I was like, I started getting a bit worried for him, but he's handling these fights really well. It almost looks like ShoWTimE can't keep up with him. And that feels weird saying, because a lot of these fights also have gone very well for ShoWTimE when he's upped and ready, but these ghosts really throwing a spanner in the works. And right now, HeroMarine, he's got a big concave ready. The thing that he wants ShoWTimE to come down that ramp and fight him.
Right. Which ShoWTimE knows that it'd be a difficult thing to do. So he's gonna try to use the high ground as long as possible, which means getting another base is going to be difficult, and that's where maybe a run by can really help out. ICVs go down, also a little bit of distraction too. ShoWTimE has set up both a War Prism and a Proxy Pylon. He does get engaged, but on that high ground, the shield body overcharge would be hard for HeroMarine to actually break through. The Vikings can't even kill this damn Colossus thanks to that overcharge. Finally get it done. as the rest of the Bio army did have to run away from the disruptors. Now that they're out of shots to run into, but into storms. That's not really working out. ShoWTimE just barely having the right spells at the right time has really been a lot of the reasons he's won some of these engagements, right? As soon as HeroMarine thinks there's no more storms, okay, there's a couple of more, there's a couple of disruptor shots. As soon as no more disruptor shots, oh, okay, I don't have any EMP stick on the storms. ShoWTimE lives yet again, and now has that base actually successfully getting up to the top right.
I mean, ShoWTimE is the weatherman at this point. Like, the amount of storms that he's been landing on HeroMarine's face, it's been brutal. Like, he's been on the absolute cusp of dying. And yeah, that Colossus taking up all the damage from the shield battery. I was actually surprised that HeroMarine stayed to fight there when he did, but oh, he has to take care of this leak damage over here at the bottom, because this constant flow of Zealots is really, really wounding him at the moment.
Just keeping his SCV count down a little bit more than he wants. So 6 SCVs at a time, that is pretty freaking expensive. And then he caught his army. Oh, God, his army just not noticing that ShoWTimE was on the offensive, kind of unloads wherever, and then gets caught up against the wall. If he had just unloaded at the planetary, it would have been pretty darn safe. So not a fantastic start, but still not dipping down too hard in supply. Actually still ahead, still has the upgrade lead, although that's about 30 seconds away from actually disappearing. And ShoWTimE didn't just expand to that extra base at the top right, he's taking the actual corner base at this point. It's almost aggressively expanding into his opponent's expand, which would be very difficult to do. The momentum will change pretty much instantly for either player. So if ShoWTimE has the momentum, fantastic. Maybe he can take down his planetary, but if HeroMarine takes another great engagement like he did previously on his side of the map, then suddenly ShoWTimE might lose one, even 2 bases. That's why this battle is so important. ShoWTimE realizes he's out of spells. He's only relying on disruptors, not much else besides that. But gets a pretty good disruptor shot for number 1, I guess. Still a few more shots to go. But he just needs more buffer, you know? Like, it really was only about the disruptors right there.
Absolutely. Like, HeroMarine's actually taking some really good fights when he takes them. Same for ShoWTimE. Whenever one of them gets the pounce, but yeah, ShoWTimE there. He can't outstay his welcome. Another juicy storm to start things off, but I mean, there's not enough meat here. But there's so many disruptors going off. Oh my goodness, so much red blood on the floor.
Oh, that was a dance party was what it was. It's just disruptors throwing out every single which way. HeroMarine managed to take up the entire space that the map gave to him to actually say that you kind of quote-unquote survived the ordeal, which I guess technically he did, while also being under harassment yet again on that third base, just entirely lifted off. It's almost mined out, but I don't know if you're going to be taking any other bases anywhere else. HeroMarine, I think that's kind of an am I screwed scan, by the way, to the left. Or does he know about the top right base? Oh, he doesn't know about the corner base. So he is just checking the count of bases. Actually does not have the full picture. He is in a lot of trouble. He still has to hope for one heck of an engagement, which is absolutely possible, especially if he can get rid of this detection again. Because if ShoWTimE doesn't realize he's about to be surrounded, that is how he loses the engagement. But as long as ShoWTimE feels in control, he can just continue to be a bully.
And that's what he's doing. He's absolutely bullying, because he's constantly throwing Zealots in the bottom here. I mean, these EMPs, whenever they do land on this army, it is a brittle army that ShoWTimE has. But if he keeps using it with finesse and keeps on saying, hey, let's not actually take the fight, let's just kind of poke and prod, and if we get a juicy disruptor, then we can go, then he's going to be good. Okay, that's a big scan on a huge amount of units.
Planetary's going to have to help here, but the disruptors, they're looking for those shots on the SCVs. Well, they kind of missed it, but storms do hit the bio. More reinforcements coming in from HeroMarine from the left side. Maybe something that ShoWTimE wasn't taken into account. Disruptor forces a last-second split, which is actually pretty damn good, but the Planetary did, in fact, fall. ShoWTimE looks like he's going to be winning with this fight right here, right now. Even if he didn't, he now has quite the economic lead. More reinforcements going to try and come in to end this game as HeroMarine is on one of his last lives. Another disruptor shot takes out a quarter of his army, leaving him with mostly medevacs. That is HeroMarine's army. Yes, he's almost doubling his supply right now, but it's medevacs for HeroMarine, and ShoWTimE has yet to warp in.
I can't believe how close the supplies were during all of that, because I feel that HeroMarine is just taking so many shots in the face, like from all this AoE, and these Stalkers, are they the units that he really wants to be massing here against so much brute force? But I think ShoWTimE, he's got him on the run, hasn't he? And taking out that PF, it was a massive deal. And HeroMarine, he's trying to hang on, trying to take another base, and GG is called. ShoWTimE with a 2-1 lead here.
That was a very fun game. That was really one of the most back and forth games that we have had, because we've had some games that slowly turn back and forth, right? Someone gets a lead in the early game, someone brings it back in the mid, someone takes a lead in the late game. But that was like every 10 seconds we had a battle that was like, okay, this means that this person's in the lead or that person's in the lead. That was really fun. But ShoWTimE, he's the one that pushes through, man. He's the one that takes victory, even after a couple of, honestly, a couple of bad fights. But every time they looked like they might be too bad, there was always like a storm in his pocket that covered his butt. And it was one of the reasons he lasted as long as he did, to take up to, 7 bases.
Yeah, it was absolutely like the combo of the storms, the disruptor shots. Like, his army was very fluid and very quick as well. And there was like a few fights that were pretty damn good for both of them. But every time that HeroMarine started off well, it was like, okay, here comes another storm. The splitting of the High Templars also, like you mentioned it, how they went in, like they got funneled in one by one. It was really well done by him. It's just, that's what Terran nightmares are made of. Like, all that AoE. I was actually just really impressed by the fact that he was still fighting for as long as he did, because very often you look at those fights and it's just like, boom, everything exploded, right? But yeah, they went on for a long time. They
did. Yeah, those battles were 10, 20, 30 seconds, which is actually quite long in StarCraft. Oh, what a fun one on Moondance. And now that means ShoWTimE leads the series as well. So moving into Data C, I think one of the players taking a little mini break. And, well, I mean, we kind of talked about at the beginning of that last game how we were maybe a little more concerned for how HeroMarine had been playing out the TVPs. I mean, he showed a lot of life in the last game, but kind of the way that he's opening, is he putting himself a little too far behind with that, mid-game aggression, or the super safe opening of like the high ground command center? Does it bode? Like, does it tell us that HeroMarine's kind of coming in here not at full potential? I don't know, because he's done all those things before and still actually smacked a lot of Protosses too. So I can never say that HeroMarine's actually not confident. You know what I mean?
No, yeah, definitely. It felt like so the Widowmine drop initially couldn't get that much done, but as soon as he started getting a few things together, like the Raven harass one spot, to then do the Widowmine drop, to then do another drop, that's where things really came alive. So as long as he can look at that last game and be like, okay, there absolutely were moments of hope, then we've absolutely still got a chance for HeroMarine here. But Data C will be the 4th map, spawning over in the top right as the Red Protoss. It is ShoWTimE.
In the bottom left, as the Blue Terran for Mouse, he is HeroMarine.
Really good spell usage out of ShoWTimE, and you saw a really big difference here from the kind of first game where he just kind of ramboed in with his army in one blob, just got picked apart. There was a lot more patience in him, right? Like using the spells, backing off, using the spells, backing off. And when he felt that he could bully around, he did bully around. And that constant trickle of zealots in the bottom there, we don't know exactly how much damage they did overall, but every time we looked over there, he was constantly killing SCVs.
Even if they only maxed out at, let's say, 16 SCVs, which in the grand scheme of things is like, it's okay. It still, I felt, had all that indirect damage added on it as well. Having to pay attention, having to pull back some units. So either you're not fully paying attention to some other army, or you're literally just lower army supply than it might seem when you're off force-take engagements. Like that type of stuff, it's really annoying. I don't know. I feel like I've watched enough of the professional stream. HeroMarine is a big streamer. Definitely go check them out. Where even they will express that frustration, right? Or acknowledge that they were kind of distracted at certain points. So I felt like the Zealots really were, even if, again, they weren't doing that much direct damage, were doing a lot, actually.
Yeah, I mean, like, attention is also a resource, right? And it's like having to, if you can focus everything on those fights, because you need to focus everything on those fights, avoiding the storm, the disruptor, taking care of their high Templars and whatnot, just being able to separate where your opponent's looking and just rallying some zealots over there doesn't take that much attention, honestly. Like, that isn't me being a whiner, it's just kind of fact. Dealing with them, though, takes quite a bit. This game, it will be a Stargate opening for ShoWTimE. He's liked that so far in the series. And an immediate scout from HeroMarine.
He has changed things up a little bit, not just going for Stargate openers all the time. But, yep, this time, once again, going back to it. the Reaper dance is kind of funny.
I don't know who the first player was that was doing it. I think it was Maru, really utilizing the fact that the Nexus is square. So when you're dancing around it, the Adept has this moment where it has to go like away from you as opposed to just constantly chasing you. Very good play out of HeroMarine there, and just a nuisance.
Yes, just annoying for the Protoss. This is where people on ladder would be like, "You're such a tryhard. What do you think you are?"
That'd be me. I'd be like, "Damn, this guy! Why is he trying so hard?" Like,
yes, yeah. I love doing that. I love doing it. But yes, for HeroMarine, yeah, he is trying hard, but because there's like a whole tournament on the line, and he should. So, ShoWTimE is also going to display such try-hard tendencies, probably with his Oracle. He's probably going to be dancing around the edges of like a Woodamine that's burrowed, just as he did in the first game. Does actually manage to catch the Reaper. It had done its job for the most part, scouting that it was a Stargate opener. But now nothing to worry about. Can full send every unit across the map.
Oh my goodness, is this just Sixth Sense Widowmine play here?
Oh, he's going to get it.
Well, that's like the best opening that HeroMarine's had so far, and a little wince of the mouth there from ShoWTimE. Can I just say as well, tryhard is absolutely the worst insult when you really think about it, isn't it? It absolutely is. It's like, are you really insulting somebody for trying at a video game? It's like, God damn it. This is where my life has taken me.
I love whenever, because Fear Dragon really hates the phrase "try hard." He doesn't. He's one of those people that it's like it's not an insult. You're insulting someone for like doing good things. But I loved it because he actually will use it in such a sense. He will begrudgingly admit someone is being a tryhard because he knows what the connotation is that they're unnecessarily and obnoxiously trying. Which is actually not what these guys are doing. Just to be super clear from when things were actually.
Is that what
I'm actually insulting them?
Okay.
Is it? Yes.
I don't know if ShoWTimE spotted it a little bit earlier, but it was a nice attempt by HeroMarine. Look at these shield batteries, by the way. He's absolutely aware that the push was coming. And so far, he's doing a good job of shutting all of this down.
HeroMarine has certainly been sprinkling in these types of early game quasi-dedicated engagements, because they are delaying other certainly more important things like sim and combat shields, but if they're that kind of off timing, no one expects this attack, then they can absolutely get damage done. But ShoWTimE, he is good to go on the defense, and even so much so he sent his oracles to go attack, and there are no Woodamines in the mineral field. So 4 SCVs, 5, probably 6 are going to go down. No, he drags them into a cyclone actually, so that's going to be 5 SCVs. I'm actually kind of surprised he didn't just get the heck out of there. He tried to be fancy with one more Oracle going back in, but still managed to save both and deflect the attack on his side of the map.
Yeah, to say he lost that first Oracle to the Widowmine straight away, a lot of other parts of this game have gone really well for ShoWTimE, and I like this hunting, this little game of cat and mouse of where are the Oracles, and is he going to get both of them here? That would be he's going to get both of them. That's actually huge by HeroMarine, and yeah, you don't want to be an Oracle in this game.
Apparently not. Apparently not. And he did spend a lot of time making those Oracles, right? Similar as how HeroMarine spent a decent amount of time making this engagement. And this is where I think I have seen Protoss still fall to this type of thing, which is that they've kind of gotten used to the odd timing. So they'll be like, I gotcha. But they aren't necessarily able to tell how much is really going to be dedicated 30 seconds from now. So is the guy going to go up to 3 Cyclones or 4 even? In this case, 3 Cyclone, 3 Vikings landed as well. Is a lot of firepower. That one shield battery just a little out of range to really be well positioned as the tank sieges up. Now the Nexus will be under fire. No blink, of course. He spent so much time building those Oracles. Charge only just started. I think HeroMarine still kind of got ShoWTimE.
This is the most ragtag army. Like three or so Cyclones, 4 landed Vikings, a bunch of non-upgraded Marines, but it packs a punch, man, and it's really durable as well with these Marines, with that 1 medevac healing them, and that tank in the back is just icing on the cake, really. Third base, absolutely obliterated, and yeah, it cost HeroMarine a little bit, but this is like the best situation he's been in this series from the opening. It's
a very funny TVP. I actually, I think that HeroMarine's done enough, but it is interesting. ShoWTimE really quickly, I guess, identified that he was kind of screwed to save that 3rd base, so he did start up a 4th base. Maybe not as fast as he could have, but and maybe he can't save it anyways. And if he can't save this, then of course it's game over. But he was trying to salvage the situation once he realized it was snowballing. Also, some good micro from ShoWTimE, making sure to trade out some of those weakened stalkers for their actual counter, like the kills, killing the Cyclone, killing the Viking. So he's managed to pick away at the units a little bit. Now charge is done, so he should have, oh, maybe the ability to take care of this. Marines do have stim at the very last second to help take care of most of those zealots, take down the Phoenix that was looking to tank. And the Immortal might be able to take it out, but there's not going to be many Stalkers left over. This is still a big trade for ShoWTimE, but at least he saved his his new third base. And again, what does that really mean for the game?
Proper weird situation, proper weird. Like, if you just tuned in now, you're like, oh, this kind of looks fairly normal, except it's, 2 minutes later than normal. Super, super weird situation. Definitely better for HeroMarine. He's got the upgrades online now. He's getting ready to just kind of attack in multiple spots. And what is the army that ShoWTimE's left over with? A single Phoenix, a few gateway units? Yeah, not a pleasant situation for any Protoss to be in.
No, there's a couple of funky things that happened. Well, certainly a lot of funky things in the entirety of this game, but even for that one engagement, man, the fact that Stim finished when it did is quite beneficial. The Zealots were massacring otherwise. And then, yeah, just the fact that ShoWTimE had barely enough to hold on, but very much barely enough, which means that he's probably not going to have enough for the follow-up attack, because HeroMarine has been settled on his economy this entire time and just building a consistent number of units that now have their upgrades. Nothing to really stop a drop into the main base. One Phoenix will not be enough. Going to force a recall. And that recall is going to be enough, actually. It is going to be enough. Also warped in on that third base, but now the main army is out of place. So, yeah, okay, no matter how you slice it, HeroMarine just was too much.
Yeah, talk about being sad you don't have Blink. Like, this game is one of those situations. They have to run all the way around after getting recalled into the main. And, like, oh, that was a nice self-detonation there, but, yeah, too little, too late. 2-2, it's tied up.
GG. GG. The third base attack, I feel like HeroMarine especially has been getting a lot of success from the continued dedication to early game units, I guess is the best way I can put it. So not Reapers and Hellions, of course, but Cyclones and Vikings, units that aren't going to necessarily, they're going to benefit from Stim and combat shields, obviously, but can pack a punch up to a certain point, up to like a critical mass of those Protoss units or critical upgrade of the Protoss units as well. Because if they did have Blink in some very, very alternate world, that also would have been a very different fight. So yeah, HeroMarine's been doing that. It kind of feels like you might have successfully defended the first thing, and you're like, no, I knew you were going to do that. I'm on to you. And then the next thing, you're also kind of like, I kind of still on to you, and you still have the third or fourth attack to be wary of. In this case, it was the 3 Cyclone, 3 Viking, however many Marines, right? And a tank rally too. That tank is something that the Oracles, if they were alive, might have been able to tag on the backside, but they got cornered, shot down.
Yeah, that single tank definitely made it difficult for ShoWTimE to engage. And also, like, just the pivoting from killing that top third base to, like, kind of pivoting around using just small, like, movement there. Nicely handled. Because that army, when you look at it, you're like, oh, that'll die to any Protoss army that's, like, fully assembled. But that's the thing. It hits you before you're fully assembled. And killing that first Oracle, killing the next few Oracles as well, and it's like, oh, well, these Vikings, I can just land them now. And non-blink Stalkers against landed Vikings with any sort of meat shield, that's just brutal to go up against.
Now we're into game number 5. Inside and out to finish up this best of 5. Top right for Team BIG, it's ShoWTimE.
And for one final time this evening, spawning on the bottom left, representing Mouse Sports, it is HeroMarine. Now, I think the fact that it's gone all the way between these two is really cool. And oh my goodness, this is so un-ShoWTimE. I love it.
Yes. And the series with a little bit of a proxy. I don't think he's going to be going for anything super, super weird. So, well, I mean, it's pretty weird, actually.
Yeah, it's going to be a gateway.
Yeah. I don't know how much more he's going to go from this point. Something like, what Max Packs would do. It's not a Max Packs, but it's a proxy gateway. And then just continue dedication to, like, even a follow-up gateway attack. But, yeah, maybe ShoWTimE, maybe really is just going to throw a huge curveball. Well, he already has, just with the presence of a second gateway. Anything beyond this? I don't know. But you know what? It's already effective. HeroMarine is not going to go for a factory expand this time around. He's going to be blindsided.
what's also really sad for HeroMarine is the fact that this is the one map in the series that you didn't go double gas. And
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and also like with this barracks positioning, this is a map that if you put the barracks like that ready for the add-on, you couldn't trap the probe in anyway, so ShoWTimE gets to keep on scouting. I think the one saving grace for HeroMarine is that the CC is, and yet again, on the high ground.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly right. But this is still a little less than ideal because it is also just completely non-scouting. I mean, the Reaper's going to get even later scout because it has to deal with the probe still in the main. So it's got to pull back for the actual units that will be arriving on his doorstep in about 10 seconds, less than that.
Oh, and he's going for the reactor as well. I mean,
Reaper is scouting for it, though. So that's is at least, well, still one of the last second notices you could possibly have. But I guess it could have been even seconds worse. So bunker starts up and reactor gets canceled. Marine's on the way. But a Zealot is also going to join in the fray. And the Reaper is very close to death. That was the only fighting unit on the field. Zealot's allowed up to the main base, of course. And this is very sketch. How many SCVs will fall down? So far, 2. Definitely going to be 3 or 4.
A little bit of focus fire here, ShoWTimE, and he's got quite a few. I mean, this is already quite... Oh, okay. That Stalker finishing off there with quite a few juicy kills. Right, okay. All things reset. Let's have a look. 21 probes versus 18. That was definitely a commitment by ShoWTimE, but it slowed down HeroMarine a lot more than he wanted to be. But you got to always remember that this... Oh my god, he's going to get it? Oh, yeah. So sad. Oh...
Yeah, which it just means this like the little poking and prodding can continue on. There's really no counter micro that ShoWTimE has to do to worry about the HeroMarine actually targeting anything. I mean, the bunker's going to stay up, so I don't think he's going to actually break through. But even the loss of this SCV, mining time, further loss of SCV life, and perhaps the eventual loss of supply depot, man, that would let 3 adepts into the main base, which actually one-shot SCV, so that would be catastrophic. HeroMarine has to sacrifice more SCVs to save more SCVs. So that's not ideal.
This is actually really good by ShoWTimE, using like 1 adept at a time kind of thing, just to get vision on the high ground so he doesn't have to take shots from the bunker. And now he's going to be in the main base. And all of a sudden, HeroMarine's kind of safe opening here. It's just showing you how annoying a Protoss can be with this kind of build, but uses the little window there of ShoWTimE not really looking to get the HeroMarine into a good position. You can't do that again.
Unless he sacrificed the unit, which really would not be worth it. So he's finally safe on the 1 base. That still doesn't bode well. I mean, severe delay on his natural actually getting down. It's been pumping out SCVs, but would rather actually be on that low ground for ShoWTimE. Of course, he's gotten his Nexus up. He's been building probes, now up about 7, which is certainly okay for the situation. And going into Blink and a Robo. Yeah, just following up with a little more normalcy.
I mean, it's only going to get worse for HeroMarine, isn't it? Like, that's the thing. He's on 1 base. He can technically move across and take another, but he doesn't really know what's happening behind this. And you always feel like, if I move out now and take that natural, am I going to get flummoxed by something crazy? And it's like, don't be daft, don't be silly. But he is going for a Raven behind this, which kind of shows me that he wants to turn this into something. But yeah, ShoWTimE whipping out this kind of build in game 5, and it's the one time that HeroMarine didn't go double gas.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's super gnarly.
It's actually going to be a 4-gate follow-up, by the way. So it's not going to be the macro. This is going to be so brutal for HeroMarine to hold. Honestly, I feel like he has to depend on ShoWTimE kind of messing up here, misfiring, or choosing the wrong location to just walk into.
Pulling a probe, shooting your own warp prism on the way in.
Something like that.
But okay, so this observer gets to see that it is a Raven, gets the siege tank in the main as well. So most likely he knows it's just going to stay like this with a 2-tank defensive setup. Getting the Templar Archives.
Yeah. Huh. I actually was thinking... Raven. Yes, that's true. I was actually really thinking he was going to push the Blink a little bit more. Yes, the tank was out, and the second tank had recently popped, so there was, that first line of defense for sure. But, he never made that Warp Prism, actually, so there was not going to be that mobility. It was just the proxy gateway. So I guess when you do take that out of the equation, it was only about hitting the natural, or maybe getting a Blink into the main, but it would still be very sketch to do so. And with the wall, with the Raven denying the Observer, I mean, that does work out well defensively. ShoWTimE having to move on still, I think, is in a good position. just hasn't really gotten to execute plan B of his build order choices.
And I mean, like, we've got to look at it from ShoWTimE's perspective as well, haven't we? It's like game 5, seeing your opponent really hunker down, like even seeing how they've walled off at a natural, where they've done it with the engineering bay, like a very, very passive wall. It's like, do I really want to attack into him? Like multiple games in this series, it's been ShoWTimE attacking into and then kind of throwing it away. So it's like, do I want to do that now? No. Let's get into my flow. I was really good with the storming. I was really good with the zealots and what have you. And then going into the disruptors afterwards. Let's see what we can get done.
For ShoWTimE, I still think that getting into the storm is going to be good. He's going to be able to ferret around with the Warp Prism. He's going to get feedback on the Raven. It's still okay, but it just kind of sucked that he had that kind of pit stop at a 4-gate that never happened. So that as set up on 3 bases, perhaps as he would like, kind of finishing off the pro production to get the minerals fully saturated as I'm speaking, as opposed to maybe 10, 15 seconds earlier. And now he has that storm. And he's also going to have the charge. HeroMarine is going to go for more auto turret harassment as he moves out. He is grabbing a 3rd CC, no SCD pull here to finalize things, but as he realized that Storm was on the field, he just got into the main base, Hello Templar Archives. Now he's got to be wary about going through any of these chokes, and does actually decide to pick up and go to the right side. An Observer's covering, so ShoWTimE will have knowledge of the drop. Does he actually have enough units to spread around for it? It can be a little dicey when you're depending so much on that Storm.
Absolutely is. Absolutely is. Okay. So ShoWTimE, you saw his army there kind of at its natural. So this drop starts off pretty nasty here. That is a bit of a Artosis pylon. The bio is very strong, by the way. Like, again, this isn't upgraded Protoss. In fact, this could be kind of getting out of control, but we'll see what happens in the middle fight. And ShoWTimE, everywhere you look, feels like he's having to run away from these engagements. HeroMarine's handling this really well.
The decision to go for the drop was fantastic. Really, the storms, especially in this kind of weird, really not ideal macro game for ShoWTimE, as he does at least grab one of the medevacs and sends that packing, was really what he was relying on. So if it was a straight-up engagement, just everyone's army face-to-face, the storm was beautiful. Split a little bit, and then you're just talking about a lack of units from the Protoss, but the Storms can make up for it if they actually land, and they do a good job landing, leaving so little bio left over. The tanks pretty much undefended, and the medevacs pick up whatever they can to get out of there, so it does kind of even up at the end. Recall has to be used in the main base. 4 probes lose their lives before the recall can come in, but I want to say evened up, not really. ShoWTimE is down 5 workers. HeroMarine is on a 3rd CC, not yet an orbital, but it is becoming one, and he's finishing up his 1-1.
I think HeroMarine played that as well as he could. Like, most of this game I was like, oh, damn, this is so bad for HeroMarine. But right now, I think for the last minute, he played that perfectly. His army comp was good, how he positioned everything, and the fact that he's got himself into this kind of position here, it's scary for ShoWTimE. Like, as soon as those ghosts come on the field, his ace up his sleeve, it's countered, and he's starting a Forge now to try and catch back up with upgrades, but every fight that we look at, it's just pretty good for HeroMarine. Even that little drop there, killing like 4 Stalkers for losing it, that's good for him.
It's now a very, very difficult game for ShoWTimE to win. He's relying on an army composition that is about to be, countered, maybe not super hard countered, because then Micro is going to be involved, but yeah, those EMPs are going to make this so difficult for him. He's going to have to get some maybe kind of surprise storms before HeroMarine really realizes, and he was pretty good at that on Moondance, so we'll see if he can replicate a little bit of that action. Once again, a bit of an Artosis pylon on the main base, not enough units actually stopping the drop. The Robo just gets taken out entirely, so it now is really reminiscent of Moondance. It's once again going to reset any transition that could be on ShoWTimE's mind. As he does deal with the main, he also has the 3rd base once again under attack. Now, this is all before ghosts are actually out, so I still think ShoWTimE can hold, but it's not exactly a good hold, right? Only on 3 bases, no transition in sight, upgrade still pretty far away. ShoWTimE actually has to, he's got to punch it, man. He's got to try and do some damage to HeroMarine's army and his economy.
But I mean, you're right, don't get me wrong. This is just such a horrible situation. Shuts down the Warp Prism. I mean, is this the fight to do it in? Maybe HeroMarine's just thinking, okay, I can't lose this army, because as long as this fight happens when I've got the Ghost ready, it's going to be way better for me. Just still have that medevac in the back of the base there. He isn't getting 2-2 on the way or anything like that, but is getting ready to take 4th with an armory and a 2nd eBay. Economically, HeroMarine is definitely ahead this game.
Oh, yeah. So far ahead. Because we're even talking about 12 minutes. Some mineral patch is starting to mine out. ShoWTimE, he's completely all in. He's going to be mining off of, 2 bases soon enough. So his army supply is still good. But again, the army type is a bit questionable, lacking those upgrades. Only going to be down 1 upgrade now, but still. And then potentially just getting EMP'd, man. The EMP to the face here is going to hurt so much. Are there enough ghosts? Because that is a lot that you have to EMP. You have to EMP the charge lots, the Archons, and probably individual High Templars, and ShoWTimE will be microing them. But HeroMarine has even more defensive prowess than those ghosts in just his bio, right? He's got Widow Mine's place, he's got a little Some City to work with, the Concave was already set up, and ShoWTimE realizes that's not going to work out. He might try and continue to have a presence on the map, just kind of almost puffing up his feathers, but he's got to expand, he's got to move on.
Certainly does. So we are starting to take 4th base, which HeroMarine did spot. Whoa, moving through that choke. I don't think that's a choke you can really
dangerous.
back out of unless, ShoWTimE chooses to back off as well. Oh my goodness. Again, like ShoWTimE's army, it's a lot of stalkers, it's a lot of gateway units. Like there's no robo-tech behind this, so not a lot of muscle. And HeroMarine, he smells blood in the water here. He's actually hunted ShoWTimE all the way back to his side of the map.
Yeah, successfully getting over here, kind of dodging some of the more brutal chokes, but then here come the storms! One of them, very, very good, but the War Prism gets taken out. I believe that was the last storm as well. No, 3 High Templars coming from behind. They do have a storm, just now, basically, but that is going to safeguard ShoWTimE once again. Oh, the Ghosts looking for some EMPs, looking for some snipes, actually. Denied initially, but 2 more Ghosts come in here, and they do have the EMPs. ShoWTimE is mostly about buying space right now. He can't actually fully engage. He can try and pick and prod with the Stalkers for blinking them back.
What a funny fight, and ShoWTimE has to back on out of there. I don't think he had any detection for all those Widow Mines that are about to come off charge again. Okay, 1 Observer does join the mix. Supply's still so damn close. HeroMarine doesn't have to truly push the issue. 2-2's about to finish up. And once it does, his bio is going to be melting this army. Oh, lovely EMP.
Oh, yeah, that actually might be a game-winning EMP. There are 5 Head Templars on the field, but 2 of them in the War Prism. I'm not sure they actually have Storm. Shield Body Overcharge will actually hold here fine. I don't think that's all of HeroMarine's... Well, the army's actually just not that big, really. Looking at it right now, more reinforcements have to come in here. Widow Mines have to actually be involved as well, which they are now getting involved. We also have a Widow Mine drop in the back lines of ShoWTimE's 3rd base, but ShoWTimE still gonna have that power spike. Whenever he actually has storms, whenever the EMPs aren't there, he's got quite an army, and he's gonna try and use it right here, right now, actually finding an opportunity. 1 more storm lands on about half of the army, but now there's a planetary to fight up against as well, and this is probably not gonna be the fight he actually can take. It looks promising without the planetary. That much I 100% agree with, but with the planetary, that was just too much to ask for.
I mean, there's no immortals or anything in this army. Like, he can't brute down a planetary, and right now, his eco's bleeding behind him as well. Let's look at the work count. 65 to 57. 3-3 on the way for HeroMarine too. He's feeling confident on that front, and wow, what a turnaround this game from HeroMarine. Like, he's really playing phenomenal.
I mean, he definitely turned this around from the opener, but now that we're 15 minutes in, I'm just surprised that ShoWTimE's still alive. HeroMarine, he chose very correctly to go for that drop, which really threw ShoWTimE for a loop, but he survives. But then you have the rest of the game where HeroMarine just has, again, the upgrades, the EMPs over the very energy-dependent ShoWTimE army, and a very fast 4th base. Very fast. And it still is a struggle for HeroMarine to actually kill this guy. It seems inevitable, but ShoWTimE is not going to let this one go too easily. Some storms on top of actually what was kind of more of a, just a Nexus killing force, not even all of HeroMarine's army, and it does grab the Nexus. Not even going to trade out too poorly against the Stalkers at the end either, force Knight Templars into Archons. If this was like a straight up cleanup, no other units lost, I could have been okay with that, but he's actually losing literally everything, so...
No, he actually lost that trade, which just goes to show how bad it was, because it was, he lost the base as well. And then all these pros falling over here. I think we're seeing the end of this one here, Zombie Grub. HeroMarine just, he came alive in this final game. Started off really bad for him, but holy crap. He's weathered the storm, quite literally. And here, he's got a really damn good army. Everywhere we look, ShoWTimE's just losing the fights. And well played, Terran, brother. Yeah, well played to HeroMarine. Gonna take another victory against ShoWTimE. Just continuing the streak to a number 5. GG. HeroMarine 3-2. Moving on in the upper brackets of the playoffs.
Yes, he did not have the strongest start to that game, but then chose pretty much all the right choices, right? From the way that he turtled on 2